Welcome back to The Edge. Basic ads from Meta with almost no tracking. Yep, it's a new search engine, and public support for tech regulation is declining this year. What does that mean to PPC? You're listening to News from The Edge for the week of June 6, 2022, here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
So this is the real intro, not the test intro. Is that what you're saying, Jacob?
Yeah, that's the real intro.
This is the real intro.
We're really recording.
At this point in time, I don't know. You're in control. This is Edge of the Web Radio. I'm your host, I think, Erin Sparks. I'm the owner of Site Strategics, a digital marketing firm based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. If you haven't heard this show before, this is the show to listen to. This one in particular, I guarantee it's going to be fantastic. We're covering SEO and digital marketing news of the week, and we provide this separate from our weekly interview podcast series to be able to get information to you, news information to you more and more quickly. So check out all the recent shows and the news shows in particular, if you're listening to this one, over at edgeofthewebradio.com, edgeofthewebradio.com. This is the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk. We are proud to have Site Strategics as the title sponsor of this show. Our digital marketing team is excellent at results-based marketing, focused on agile marketing and results. So if you want to check us out, go over to sitestrategics.com, S-I-T-E Strategics. I guess I got to spell that one because I got chastised by Mordy last week. STRATEGICS.com. Spelled the more simple word. Joining me this week to get his take on all things news and things is Mordy Oberstein. He's the head of SEO branding over at Wix. Mordy, what color are your socks today?
They're blue with stripes.
Congratulations. That is fantastic.
Yes. You asked me to keep you updated on all things you didn't know.
You know, that's
by the way, I yepped you.
You did.
To see who the host of the Edge of the Web podcast is. Turns out Ahrefs says.
What does Ahrefs say?
Too soon?
Too soon. Wait. Get away. You gotta wait. You gotta wait for that.
Myself. Yep.
All right. Hey. Speaking of Ahrefs,
Mordy, tone it down.
Speaking of Ahrefs, we are very proud to have them as the sponsor for the 500th episode a couple weeks back, and we're continuing the promotion of that throughout the next several weeks. We had a great show talking about epic fails on episode 500, error 500, the web server error code that something fatally has gone wrong. So we actually asked a bunch of friends of the show to be able to contribute their epic fails. Had a fantastic show, enjoyed all the participation. Ahrefs is actually giving away a free swag kit for participation beyond that show. So if you actually have a screw up that you want to share to the world, hey, you got to be proud, got to be bold, right? And give us a quick video of what the screw up was, what the epic fail was, what you learned from it on the hashtag Edge500. You'll be able to be picked for a free swag kit from Ahrefs. Tweet your story over to hashtag Edge500, and we'll pick one of the ones we like best. Want to make sure you give us what the situation was, how you found out about the fail, how you fixed it, and what you learned from it. Be sure to mention hashtag Edge500 as well as our Twitter handle EdgeWebRadio and Ahrefs, Ahrefs. In the tweet, be sure to protect the names of the innocent. You don't want to throw anybody under the bus there, but post once, we may pick this for an epic fail story in the near future. All right, so that said, let's get into our first story of this week. Meta, previously Facebook, rumored to develop basic ads in response to recent privacy changes from search engine land from Nicole Farley. Last week, it was reported that Meta's platform, Facebook, is in the early stages of planning a basic ads product. Basic ads will be aimed at advertisers who are looking to build awareness around their brand with little or no tracking of users or targeting, more importantly. They haven't officially announced a product yet, and little has been said about it in the advertising community, but Facebook veteran Kurt Malley of Black Box Social Media was aware of Meta plans, said it's interesting to think about how a basic product with no targeting and no objectives would actually be beneficial. He says, more than 90% of all online marketers I know, says Kurt, are focused on direct response where efforts can be directly tracked. With this basic ads platform, it appears that the tracking will be rather difficult. Branding and awareness are used by larger companies with deeper pockets. Most small businesses can't compete with a brand who spends money branding small business owners need and want to be able to drive results now. So this is all in the perspective of privacy changes that are impacting Meta's revenue. Meta estimates a $12.8 billion revenue hit to 2022 gross revenue due to the Apple changes. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg also reported unprecedented levels of competition from new platforms such as TikTok. So they actually laid out a 3-tier plan to save its ad business in the wake of Apple's privacy crackdowns. And at the time, Meta COO Sheryl Sandberg, and she's leaving the ship, by the way, described the strategy as doing more with less data. So looks like there's a new basic ad product that's going to be available. You won't be able to target it. You won't be able to measure conversions from it or most anything else that you can steer by, but you can spend money with Meta. What do you think, Morty? Does that sound like a
I was
like
going to say it
plan
sounds
there?
like highway billboards.
Yep. I don't know what big brand would just spend money like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're worried about big brands overtaking the market with inside of the Facebook ecosystem, I would venture to say you have nothing to worry about.
I've got a prediction. They're going to put QR codes on those ads. That's what they're going to do, right? No? Nothing?
Might this go down as an epic fail because they submit to our account?
Just wait a few months. I mean, why would you spend that much money without any type of targeting, any type of visibility?
No one's going to. Even if you're doing branding, you want to see like how many people you're reaching. You want some kind of data. I mean, look, to me, this is like the ecosystem struggling with the fact that you're not going to be able to track things the way you were before.
Right.
Now what? I don't know. Damned if I know. Let's just throw this crap out.
Maybe they'll bite. Maybe.
I don't like. No one has a good answer to this. People are trying to figure this out. I don't think winging it. I hate to put it that way, like winging it with an ad format like this makes sense. But okay, what do I know? Not much. I know what color socks I'm wearing.
And we appreciate that. At least you know that Facebook ad platforms have previously been known for its wide range of targeted audiences and demographic options. As of late, it seems like a lot of advertisers are kind of moving away from the platform and reporting a decline in performance. So we've heard that for several months now. And as we're looking at 2023 being a cookieless environment and and we've talked about this on a number of times on the show. I mean, there's going to have to be other platforms, but the essence of it, you need to be collecting your first-person data, not the third-party cookie data, because that's going to be going away. You're not going to be able to have that targeting. But if you're capturing leads, capturing information, capturing behavior on your own site, as well as your other controllable digital assets, you're going to have that data to be able to steer by. And you still have lookalike audiences that are somewhat similar to what you're capturing.
They have to be able to give you some kind of like benchmark that you can use to extrapolate out from, which is probably where we're heading with this kind of thing. But this sounds like it's the Wild Wild West.
It really does, doesn't it? And it sounds like 15 years ago what Google Ads was. Or, I mean, not even that. I mean, Google Ads was better than what they're offering up right here. All right. Well, that said, we're proud to have ongoing sponsor for our show. This is Inlinks.net, is a sponsor of Edge of the Web. Did you know that entities play a major role in how search engines understand and rank content on the web? Well, optimizing content solely on keywords is a thing of the past. It's now time to add entities into the mix and reach high rankings by using Inlinks and an award-winning software in entity SEO. They provide you expert-level data to build your content around concepts and a number of different sub-points of entities and information. So what you want to do is go check out edgeofthewebradio.com/inlinks, INLINKS, today to get your free account rolling so you can actually start digging into the entity side of content. And by the way, they had a great update last week. We had a special show just focused on their keyword and topic research tool, an incredible revamp of their strategy tool that's valuable. You got to dig into it. It's live data structures and live semantic topics and subtopics. Got to check it out. It's fantastic. All right. Switching over to the news of the day, the biggest story. Now, we're good friends of Ahrefs, you know that, but Ahrefs reveals its new search engine, Yep. All right, so Ahrefs has been busy for 3 years now, investing $60 million of its own money into launching a new search engine called Yep. What is Yep? It's a general purpose web search engine. Yep will soon be available in all countries and in most languages. Ahrefs, this article from Search Engine Land from Danny Goodwin, by the way. Ahrefs is positioning as a Google competitor. However, Danny's saying they're seeing plenty of Google competitors in the market trying to come out as Google killers, and they've seen them come and go over the last 2 decades. For now, let's call this a Google alternative, says Danny. So is this what Yep is banking on as a true Google alternative? Well, there's 2 things that they've got going for them. Yep will not collect any personal information, says they. Geolocation, name, age, gender by default. Your Yep history will not be stored anywhere. What Yep will rely on is aggregated search statistics to improve algorithms, spelling corrections, and search suggestions. The company said, in other words, we do save certain data on searches, but never in a personally identifiable way, says Ahrefs CEO Dmitro Gerasmenko. For example, we will track how many times a word is searched for and the position of the link getting the most click, but we will not create your profile for targeted advertising. So there's privacy that they're focusing on. And then the biggest thing I thought was interest, and I don't know how they're going to measure it and actually make good on this, and I'm eager to learn. The plan for Ahrefs search engine is a 90-10 profit sharing model where Ahrefs shares 90% of its advertising profits with content publishers. The reason Google displays content in its search results without the need to actually click through to the website, that means websites are losing traffic, and we talked about that on the show here numerous times. And for many sites, less traffic means less revenue, says they. Creators who make search results possible deserve to receive payments for their work, says Ahrefs. We saw how YouTube's profit-sharing model made the whole video making industry thrive, splitting advertisement profits 90-10 with content authors. We want to give a push towards treating talent fairly in the search industry. I'm going to pause there for a minute. How in the world can you pay every contributor of content on search? And maybe that's a completely irrational way to take this on. I don't see how. I mean, Morty, you're a publisher. I'm a publisher. We're a publisher. Everybody's a publisher. All right. Is this the Oprah search engine here?
Myself,
yeah.
Or I've been yepping myself all day.
Wow.
And I'm waiting for my check.
It's coming.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna keep yepping myself.
Well,
until I get my check for all my results that show up when I vanity search myself.
And can we actually hire a bunch of people to actually search upon ourselves so we can actually?
I've hired Jacob to search
you did.
my name.
Yep.
Leave. He said, "Go yep yourself."
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say on this story. I don't know what to say.
It's a nice
theory. I bet you Semrush is real happy that Ahrefs is focused on a search engine and not on an SEO tool.
$60 million that they've invested. $60 million to build this, and I mean, you absolutely know they're committed to creating something of value. I mean, they've been doing this for 3 years. DuckDuckGo launched in 2008, and that's getting more and more searchers over the years. They got 15.7 billion as Google gets about in 2 to 3 days. But even Bing, which is owned by Microsoft, the 3rd largest company on the planet by market cap, has failed to make a significant dent in Google's search market since 2009. So I don't know where. How do you carve? Stop it. See?
Yep.
You really did that.
It's just for the joy on Morty's face.
Wow.
I don't know what to say on this story. I don't want to, I better keep my mouth closed on this one.
Yep.
It's
the gift that keeps on giving.
I just don't know. What do you say here?
Well,
Erin, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing. They're going to do this all show long now. I'm looking forward to seeing what their methodology is for cashing out to different publishers. What does a publisher actually consist of? You just can't publish a page and expect to get compensated. That's not the world we live in. But maybe that's the case.
Yep. But contrary to YouTube, when you throw a video up on YouTube and you have 1 million subscribers, and you get that special plaque from YouTube. You get money. Those videos are on YouTube, and they're only on YouTube. When you create content on your website, you're not only helping Yep, you're helping Google at the same time.
You are correct.
How does that work?
I don't know.
I don't know. Also, when I get paid for Meetup, can I get one of those massive checks with my name on it? Like you get like at a golf tournament.
God.
And that's what I'm really hoping for. I really feel like I've contributed heavily to this story. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for having me and all of my great contributions.
Thanks so much. Yep. All right. We are proud to have Page One Power as the new sponsor for Edge of the Web, this new series. It's great to have a new sponsor on board. We're eager to share what they do with our listeners. Page One Power is an SEO agency specializing in sustainable link building and in strategic content creation. They create content and links that are tailored to your goals, all with a project manager who will be with you through every step of your campaign. So visit today, edgeofthewebradio.com/Page One Power to sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. Thanks for joining the Edge team, Page One Power. All right. Third article.
Over Page One.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're good. They actually were advertisers back in 2017. They swung back around and said, hey, let's do some work together. So highly recommend you guys check them out. All right. For our third article from Search Engine Journal, Brooke Osmondson is talking about declining support of tech regulation and how does this impact PPC. Check this out. The percentage of Americans who want less government regulation in major tech companies has actually doubled. Now, 1 in 5 Americans are in favor of less regulation. So Brooke put together this article, and you need to go over there and check it out. And this is a key concept. They're focused on PPC, but I wanted to go over a couple of things here. So stats are actually showing that 1 in 5 Americans are in favor of less regulation here. I'd like to know that particular study, but over the past few years, there's been a lot of controversy about the amount of free speech on social media platforms, especially with what Elon Musk is doing, trying to buy Twitter, and he wants to have a much more freer discourse in the social space. Many controversies have transpired about banning individuals on social platforms for hurtful or hateful speech, tech giants purchasing media outlets, as well as battling the misinformation and fact-checking. That has actually swelled in a space that are focusing Americans on concern of censorship. 77% of Americans think that it is very or somewhat likely that social media sites intentionally censor viewpoints that they find objectionable. So with that mindset, right, people are actually leaning into less regulation, not more regulation. So I'm going to park right there, gentlemen. What are your thoughts, Morty, on this? Obviously, you're in Israel, but you do a lot of business in the States as well.
I'm from New York, man. Like,
I know but you're in Israel. I just want to make sure that everybody knows.
I get the whole American thing, dude. From Mars.
Yep.
I'm from Brooklyn.
So, I mean, what do you think? Is this a real thing? I don't see the study being referenced here, and I want to be able to.
I don't know. What a complicated question.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of hurtful things said on social media, so there needs to be some sort of moderating being done.
Yeah.
On these platforms, they're not publicly I know we view them as public platforms, but somebody owns them, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of makes sense. There's some kind of corralling all the insanity going on out there. I don't particularly want to see half the things that I see on Twitter. It would be great if there was some sort of process around this. I wonder if you're talking about like Americans being like less enthused about regulation over these big tech companies. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that when you have like people like Google or Facebook going up to Congress, you see how inept they are at dealing with any of this stuff. So like, is it a matter of, I don't want regulation over these things. I don't want these things to be moderated somehow. Or is it that I just don't trust some like old white dude from Congress to understand what the hell Twitter actually is to be able to handle the legislation around it? Like I remember when they went like in front of when Google went in front of Congress, right? One guy's got his phone. Are you tracking me right here on this phone here right now? Like that's literally your question. That's
like
the
a
best
time
you can
machine.
Possibly think of.
Morty, you nailed
This is
that.
the Andy Griffith show.
That's exactly what they did, and I think there is a bit of just not only misalignment but disbelief that you're right. Congress and politicians can even understand or conceptualize what's out there in order to be able to have a fair and objective perspective on what free speech is in these social spaces, and on top of that, what hate speech is and what is truly destructive in the town square.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, there's a lot of horrible stuff on Google that still shows up that we talked about with Danny Sullivan, or
Yep.
we talked about on this podcast. It's still all there. You know, at the same time, you have like the publishers trying to push their agenda, trying to get more revenue. How noble is their agenda? There's a big battle over that. So I feel like there are parties trying to take the narrative around, like, yeah, like Google having control over the entire universe, probably not a really healthy thing. But then they're just leveraging it for their own interests. So how much do you really trust that narrative?
You can't. And, monetization is the foremost goal for all these platforms as well. So, but there is such a alignment in the social square as well that brands have to conduct themselves in a particular manner. And we're seeing a lot of different concepts out there. We're talking about not only regulatory process for government, but there's also the tech giants themselves kind of regulating content that's out there. And I think people are getting more and more just disillusioned that they're seeing true content by and large.
Yeah, well, like everyone's stuck. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like everybody's sort of stuck in their little like vacuum of like what they think they should be seeing or shouldn't be seeing.
Yep.
And then that murkies the water around legitimate things that should or not be shown, or legitimate things that should or not be said on social media. And I think that when you sort of double down on the polarizing of whatever opposite viewpoint that you don't want to see or hear or acknowledge the existence of, I think that makes it hard when we get so, I don't know what the right word is. And I'm not living in the States right now, so it's funny to watch what's going on from afar. But that polarization, and when you have the lack of discourse, if everyone's like really at each other's throats, sometimes I feel like that takes away from the legitimate points where you need to have conversations about like, okay, it's like, should this be allowed to be said on social media?
Right.
Where's the line and where's not the line? And then it gets so blurred because there's so much noise around this that doesn't really do anybody any good. And I'm not saying that from a right wing or a left wing perspective. I think that there's everybody in between, up, down, left, and all around that's doing it. And it's not a particularly helpful thing, because it really does make it hard to see the legitimate issues that like, you're okay, like you may disagree with somebody who's living X lifestyle.
Right.
That does not let you go on Twitter and start, it's spewing all kind of slurs about them.
Nope, it does not.
Right. And the real issues around what you should or shouldn't be allowed to be said on social media get lost in all of the rhetoric around these things. That's just my personal opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. And to honor the article, and I appreciate the indulgence here, to honor the article, her focus was bringing these regulations, these concepts back into how does this affect PPC, the paid ad environment, because we're getting, we just talked about paid ads at the beginning of the show with basically no user association or targeting. It's just brand. Are we in the space where we're going to continue to see that removal of targeting? So, there are limited and broader ad targeting options that are out there, but actually she dives into Meta, formerly Facebook, their ad platform, and she gives an example of getting the black bar of death, so to speak, is limiting many ad targeting options, specifically in demographic areas. These limitations are job titles, employers, and job functions. And that black bar of death says from Meta, we're removing some detailed targeting options, some interests, demographics, and behaviors have been discontinued. That was a screenshot on this article taken by the author in June of 2022, this month. The platform has actually put in some non-discriminatory practices into place as well. So for some instances, for advertisers, however, this can actually make your PPC strategies less effective. So, as an example, they know their target male, ages between 25 to 50 within 30-mile radius. And whenever they try to target that audience demographic, they're now immediately met with ad disapprovals for what they consider discriminatory practices. It says your ad was rejected because it doesn't comply with our discriminatory practices policy. This means that your ad isn't running and will not be delivered to your audience. We know that this may impact your current business objectives. If you believe that was incorrectly rejected, you can request another review. So this demographic, male, ages 25 to 50 within 30 miles of a city, got hit with that discriminatory policy rejection. Is that not so heavy-handed that we can't navigate anything in the marketing space? This is what's really boiling down to. If I want to reach a particular demographic, I've got to be able to narrow it and focus on that demographic. And if by the ad platform's policies, they are deciding that you can't even reach an audience, what's the point of paid ads?
Well, I mean, just to counter that, it's their platform.
Sure.
Right? They can do what they want with it. It's not you're paying. The proof is in the pudding. You're paying them to do something. If it was an open platform, you wouldn't be paying them anything.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's just say like you want to target white supremacists, ages 18 to 25. Should you be allowed to do that?
The voting audience says no, obviously not.
No, obviously not. So
yeah, I see your point. I see your point.
It all depends, right? And like that's what I mean. Like when the discourse gets so enmeshed in a lot of different considerations that are not really about the real issue, seeing where those lines are not as clear as they should be. And I think they're a lot clearer than they actually are, like, thought of. Like it's pretty clear. If you're going out there and you're inciting people to feel hatred,
absolutely,
or you're putting people down, I wouldn't want you on my platform doing that. I'm not going to let you on my platform do that. And that's pretty easy to see when that's happening. I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong. No, and that's it. Yeah. But it gets all politicized and it gets all blown out of proportion. And it gets all, people have their own agendas that they're using this for. And the clear answer of like, that's really not a nice thing to say. Come on, it's kindergarten here, right? Is that a nice thing to say to somebody? Did you say that to your mother? If the answer is no, then don't be upset when Meta or Twitter or whoever says, we're not running that.
That's
and if
it
it's
right
so
there.
hard for you to see that, even though it might go against your personal convictions, then I think you're an idiot.
The would you say it to your mother policy right there. That's what we're talking about. If you wouldn't say it to your mother, then don't try to advertise, right? Don't.
Yeah, basically.
No, you're right. And there is a level of common sense.
Unless your mother's like Cruella de Vil, in which case.
You're right. But there is a level of common sense that can be left to the wayside whenever there's so much overreaction. And
yeah, because that's an opportunity for me to go on a soapbox rant about my political agenda here, as opposed to like, yeah, that kind of made sense. I see why is it reasonable? Is it reasonable that they did that? Well, if it's reasonable, I might not agree with it, but it's a reasonable decision, in which case I calm the hell down.
We live in interesting times here. And
we live in unreasonable times, unreasonable people who act like children.
That is absolutely true.
Yep.
But you know what is reasonable? Every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Twitter, #SEO chat. That's a reasonable place to go in these unreasonable times.
It is usually reasonable. It's free. That's always reasonable.
All right, so what's going on this week in SEO chat?
Dylan Jones talking about, I'm surprised, there's the tweet, there's the visual. Dylan Jones would be trying to test me. I knew. Always. Dylan Jones is hosting SEO chat this Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. if you're in the UK. All about Google updates. Kind of timely because we just had a Google update.
Yeah,
so
we
come
did.
Chat with us, vent. Yes, we did. Yell and scream. Be as completely unreasonable about Google updates as you want, as long as you're respectful to people. So you can be a jerk to the algorithm, but you have to be nice to people. That's our rule.
Very good. Very good.
And if that's too hard for you to figure out, then we don't want you. Go to PPC chat instead.
Yep.
All right. Well, that said, that's it for the news this week. And we do appreciate everybody's indulgence as we take on the stories and kind of go sideways with regularity. Check out our special show that we had regarding the new upgrades to keyword research and from inlinks, as well as the second part of the Jason Bernard interview dropping this week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we drop the videos. Go check out the 500th episode. We had a great time when we're rolling out some audiograms and individual videos for all the guests that participated with us. So with that said, yep. From all of us over Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week.